Hi everyone. So, very good afternoon and welcome back to CGB Mentors. In this particular class, we are going to talk about your finance current affairs. Good afternoon, guys. So, shall we start the class? Just a second, and we are going to start talking about the topics that we have. Okay, just give me a moment. Okay. So, in this particular class, we are going to cover your current affairs from 25th to 29th. So, I have divided this segment. The reason being the news that we have for 30th and 31st, they'll be more in detail. Okay? So, that is something we'll be covering tomorrow. चलिए. So, Hi, good afternoon. अभी हम class start कर लेते हैं. So we know the timeline and we'll be covering all the important news items, right? So first of all, let us start. So we have India's industrial production rises to 25 months high of 6.7% in November. So always whenever I take this particular item, I feel like there are तुम्हें पता है जब तुम्हारा comment आया था ना तो I was like why you are saying just good afternoon, why you are not asking for RBI का result. Don't worry, the result will be good, right? अभी उसके लिए anxious होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, ठीक है? Keep calm और अभी हम current affair पढ़ लेते हैं, ठीक है? चलिए. So anyway, wherever this particular item comes related to IIP, so what is the first thing that comes to my mind is that let us revise the static. ठीक है? So index of industrial production, what it talks about volume of production. ठीक है? With volume, we try to guess that okay, what is the level of industrial activity in India. अगर आपका प्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा होगा तो ऑब्वियसली गिवन है कि आपकी इकोनॉमी का जीडीपी भी बढ़ेगा, ठीक है? प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेगा तो जीडीपी बढ़ेगा. द डायरेक्ट लिंकेज इज देयर. सो what do we do in this index? We measure the quantity, volume, ठीक है? First thing. Next is who releases this? Ministry of Statistics, ठीक है? कौन रिलीज करता है आपका? Ministry of Statistics. Number 2 point. Number 3 point. This is a monthly measure, ठीक है? क्या है ये? Monthly measure. Fine. कौन कैसे मेजर कर रहे हैं हम? मंथली इसको मेजर कर रहे हैं. नंबर 4 पॉइंट, ठीक है? फोर्थ नंबर पे देयर आर 3 broad sectors that we are covering: manufacturing, mining, right, and then electricity. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, माइनिंग एंड इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, ठीक है? मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का कितना परसेंटेज है? समवेयर अराउंड 77.63, राइट? 77.63. Somewhere around 14% is for the mining, if I am not wrong, and for electricity, somewhere around 7.99%. ठीक है? So these are the 3 kind of sectors that we are covering in the IIP, Index of Industrial Production. Now what they are suggesting over here is that we have registered a record growth. And let me tell you, manufacturing has registered the highest growth among all these 3 sectors. This was something that was important for you to remember in this item. ठीक है? आपको बस यही याद रखना है, whenever we talk about the indexes, static becomes very, very important for us. ठीक है? चलिए आगे देखते हैं. आगे बढ़ो भाई. Yes. So there are 3 sectors: mining, manufacturing and electricity. Okay, I forgot to tell you the base year. So base year is 2011-12. ठीक है? Just wait for a second. So Neela asks that for SEBI Grade marathon session on finance current MCQ is taken. Do we have to revise the finance static from notes? So what I'll suggest you is that Do the circulars question that is given in your Vijay batch. Do the finance current affair MCQs which I'll be taking today also, 30 questions. वो हम आज कर लेंगे. Do that particular part, and because the number of days that are there with you are very less, so I will suggest you that in your Vijay batch under the finance segment there are certain MCQs provided chapter wise. ठीक है, so आप please वो revise कर लीजिए and that would be good enough for your exam. Okay, we have to revise our strategy based on the number of days also. So yes, so the base year is 2011-12. Who releases it? Ministry of Statistics. Mining 14.37%. Okay. Manufacturing 77.63% and electricity 7.99%. I hope you will remember these particular numbers. Okay, chaliye, moving forward to the next news item that I have in hand. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal announces zero duty on 100% Australian tariff lines from January 1st. ठीक है, so here a few things I'd like to tell you. So we have signed a trade agreement with Australia ECTA 3 years back. Okay, Economic Comprehensive Trade Partnership, something like that, the full form is there. Now what is the meaning of these kind of trade relationship is कि जब आप trade करते हैं, you try to reduce the duties that you are charging from each other. What happens with that? सबसे पहले तो आपके जो trade volumes हैं वो बढ़ जाते हैं, number one. Number two is, this is strategically also very, very important because there are so many political situations happening across the world, right? बहुत सारे forums बन रहे हैं. For example, Quad भी बना है, वो इंडिया यूएस के साथ में है. But apart from that, आप देखेंगे यूएसए का कोई क्या बोलते हैं उसको, दीन धर्म नहीं है, right? कभी भी पलट सकता है. So it is very, very important that we strengthen our partnership with the other nations also. ठीक है, सो ऑस्ट्रेलिया पहली बात तो आप देखेंगे इंडो पैसिफिक में लाई करता है, इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस. चाइना के अगेंस्ट भी इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस. और अगर हम यूएस के बारे में भी बात करें, सो इट इज वेरी, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. राइट नाउ वी आर एक्सपोर्टिंग, यूएसए इज ऑन द फर्स्ट नंबर अगर हम हमारे एक्सपोर्ट्स की लिस्ट देखें तो, राइट. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट we should strengthen our trade relationships, and that's what we are doing with the Australia. ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ एक सेक्टर में बड़ा प्रॉब्लम था. ऑस्ट्रेलिया वांटेड एक्सेस टू आवर डेयरी सेक्टर. ठीक है, वहां पे ऑस्ट्रेलिया न्यूजीलैंड अगर आप देखेंगे, सो इफ यू सी, yes, too much uncertainty with USA. So that is why यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे ऑस्ट्रेलिया एंड न्यूजीलैंड, Australia, New Zealand, they are very, very strong in the dairy sector, but India has not opened their its dairy sector for any of the countries, because India assumes, and it is true also कि हमारा agriculture and जो dairy sector है, that is very, very, what you can say, fragile. ठीक है, and we need to protect that. तो अभी इंडिया ने कहा है, ये तो हमारे लिए एक अच्छी न्यूज़ है कि हम जो भी ऑस्ट्रेलिया को भेजेंगे, right, whatever we are going to send to the Australia, or in the other manner you can see कि Australia जो भी import करेगा इंडिया से, duty has been reduced to 0. कितना reduce कर दिया गया है? 0 duty. So that means we'll be able to export more, and that is the news. Okay, so we, on the 3rd anniversary of India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, that is the full form of ECTA, now we can do enhanced export to the Australia. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे बस आपको ये याद रखना है that which particular country under the trade agreement has announced that 100% of the tariff lines would be zero duty for the Indian exports. हम जो भी export करेंगे Australians बड़े प्यार से ले लेंगे. There will be no duty on or zero duty on that from 1st January 2026 onwards. Right now, don't come to me with the what you can say things कि अरे मैम ये वाली ड्यूटी ऑफ की गई है, ये वाली ऑफ नहीं की गई है. We understand everything, but in the finance segment also there is a one step at which you have to stop. ठीक है, so इससे नीचे भी मैं आपको बता सकती हूँ कि कौन सी ड्यूटीज हैं, कौन सी ड्यूटी फ्री की गई है, कहाँ पे ये और चार्ज कर सकते हैं, right, what are the loopholes in it, but that is not something which should matter to us, so we will stick to this. ठीक है, कंट्री का नाम आप याद रखेंगे, दैट इज ऑस्ट्रेलिया. Now moving forward to regulatory bodies news, let's see what RBI and SEBI are doing. यही दो bodies हैं जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा काम करते रहते हैं. So let us talk about this. So SEBI revises the BSDA rule. Okay. Now what happens is that SEBI as a regulatory institution wants to improve the investor experience. Suppose मेरे पास एक डीमैट अकाउंट है. डीमैट अकाउंट का मतलब क्या होता है? Where I am holding the share market securities. I repeat, what is a demat account? Where I am holding my share market securities. Now suppose I have the securities with worth of lesser than 10 lakh rupees. ठीक है, 10 लाख रुपए से कम की सिक्योरिटीज है मेरे पास में. So obviously I should not be charged a very high amount to maintain these securities. Now someone else is providing me the services of maintaining these securities, right? अब अगर डिपॉजिटरीज इस तरीके की सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, सो ऑब्वियसली दे आर गोइंग टू चार्ज अ फीस. ओके, बट आई एम अ स्मॉल इन्वेस्टर, और अगर आप छोटे इन्वेस्टर से भी ज्यादा पैसा चार्ज करोगे, सो जो मेरे अकाउंट में, इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट the securities which I might be having, suppose I have securities worth 70,000 rupees, that is such a less amount, और अब आप उसके ऊपर मुझसे फीस चार्ज करोगे, so I'll not be interested. मैं क्यों मेंटेन करूंगी, मैं नहीं इन्वेस्ट करूंगी. So what SEBI wants is that for such small investors the fees that should be charged should be very very less amount. ठीक है, तो सेबी ने अभी कहा है कि अब हमने एक मॉनेटरी लिमिट बता दी आपको. अब मुझे पता करना है कि कोई इन्वेस्टर इस लिमिट में लाई करता है या नहीं. I want to categorize the investors that whether they are going to lie in this particular limit or not. So SEBI has said that if an investor has invested in the zero coupon, zero principal instruments, this will not be counted to determine this limit. Apart from this, delisted securities, the securities which are no longer listed on the stock exchanges, and if the investor has investments in them, this will also not be counted to determine the eligibility of basic demat account. ठीक है, तो जब हम आपकी इस लिमिट को डिटरमाइन करेंगे इन्वेस्टर वाइज, we are not going to count these two things. Now why they will not be counted? Number one, जो चीज स्टॉक मार्केट से ही चली गई है, आप उसको क्या ही करोगे यहाँ लिमिट को डिफाइन करके. ठीक है, ये तो स्टॉक मार्केट पे ही नहीं है. एंड जीरो कूपन जीरो प्रिंसिपल, ये तो दान देने वाली बात हो गई, राइट? इन्वेस्टर हैज इन्वेस्टेड इन दीज सिक्योरिटीज फॉर योर नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. यहां से तो वो इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं ले रहा और वो प्रिंसिपल को भी एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर रहा वापस. सो लेट अस रिमूव दैट, राइट? वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू take that into consideration for determining a limit of 10 lakhs. ठीक है, 10 लाख की लिमिट डिटरमाइन करने में हम इसको नहीं इंक्लूड करेंगे. That's what SEBI said. Now there is one more category of security which is called as illiquid. Illiquid का मतलब, if you want to sell this very quickly, you will not be able to do so. ठीक है, that is why we are calling it as illiquid. Why? Because of certain restrictions. मैंने आपको सिक्योरिटी दी और मैंने आपको कहा कि आप इसको 6 साल तक बेच नहीं सकते. तो अब 6 साल तक बेच नहीं सकते, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? That it is illiquid, right? Will such kind of securities should also be excluded while determining the limit of 10 lakhs? The answer is no. So how we are going to value them? हम किस तरीके से इसको value करेंगे? This is the question for which we are going to see the answer in this news. ठीक है, ये बात आपको समझ में आ गई? Let's move forward and see what SEBI says. So market regulator SEBI has decided that while determining the limit of basic services demat account for small investors, we are going to exclude the charity investor is doing. Zero coupon, zero principal instrument, ये क्या है? ये तो charity है. And delisted securities also, because obviously you are not, these securities are no longer listed. So जब listed ही नहीं है तो क्या फायदा है इसको include करके? Number one, so this means value of these securities will not be counted while checking the eligibility. Now SEBI has said to the depository participants कि investor को आपको ना I as an investor I'm not going to go to the depository participants and will say कि अरे भाई please आप ये eligibility को देख लो. नहीं, depository participants कौन होते हैं? Those who maintain your Demat account and they are linked with depositories. Demat account आपकी share ownership को online manner में save करना. That's what depository participant does. Okay, so depository participant over here they will say कि I as an investor I am not going to go to the depository participants. नहीं, मैं नहीं जाऊंगी, right? You have my account, you know the eligibility, please apply this automatically. आप इसको automatically ही apply करेंगे. Okay, for illiquid securities DPs will calculate the account value using the last available price. ठीक है, so जो भी illiquid securities हैं जिनके कोई takers नहीं है because of certain restrictions, तो उनका pricing हम कैसे निकालेंगे? Based on last available closing price. ठीक है, how we are going to calculate that? Or based on last available closing price. ठीक है, that's what SEBI has said. Okay, now if the investor wants to keep a regular Demat account, not the basic one, ठीक है, so for that also they can provide the consent, and these changes they are going to be implemented from March 31st 2026. कब से? March 31st 2026. Now IFSCA has eased rule for the fund managers, GICs and the market intermediaries. ये news हम पहले भी cover कर चुके थे, तो we are going to see this very quickly. Just a second. Yes. So fund management entities कौन सी होती हैं भाई? Fund management entities, these are the entities which maintain different kind of funds. जैसे कि मैंने कह दिया venture capital fund. So can I say that this is a kind of company who maintains a fund where they have taken money from the investor and they are investing it as per their stated objectives. मैंने आपसे पैसे लिए, I have a fund management entity, I am a fund management entity and I have taken money from you, you are the investor. मैंने आपसे 1 करोड़ रुपए लिए और मैंने आपको कहा that I am starting a venture capital fund. ठीक है, मैं क्या स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ? Venture capital fund. That means you give me the money and I am going to put that money into what you can say budding enterprises. So there is a stated objective. ठीक है, एक stated objective है. So yes, fund management entities managing the venture capital will now be permitted to seek multiple 6-month extensions for the validity of their private placement memorandum. ये मैंने एक और क्लास में कवर किया था in the previous class itself. What are the private placement memorandum? See, compare it with prospectus. How to compare this with prospectus? Suppose I want to raise fund, ठीक है, so I have to tell you that where I am going to use the fund. अब एक बार बताओ, आपसे मैंने पैसा लिया तो मैं आपको बताऊंगी ना कि मैं उस पैसे का क्या करने वाली हूँ, right? I have to tell you the objectives and that is very very important. So this is what we are calling it as private placement memorandums. We tell about that how have been my experience with the fund management. मैंने क्या funds manage किए हैं? What are the projects I have initiated? Was I successful in that or not? ठीक है, so that's what all is included in the PPM. और पहले क्या होता था ना, एक्सटेंशंस रेस्ट्रिक्टेड थे, एक टाइम लिमिट के लिए ही ये डॉक्यूमेंट वैलिड रहता था, बट अब सेबी ने कहा है दैट वी विल गिव यू मल्टीपल 6 मंथ्स एक्सटेंशन. ठीक है, हम आपको मल्टीपल 6 मंथ्स एक्सटेंशन दे देंगे. दैट मीन्स दिस डॉक्यूमेंट विल रिमेन वैलिड while you are going to raise the funds. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि भाई 6 महीने में फंड्स रेज कर लिए और उसके बाद में ये डॉक्यूमेंट इनवैलिड हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा. एक्सटेंशंस विल बी प्रोवाइडेड टू यू. ठीक है, अच्छा, जिन लोगों का ऑलरेडी ये एक्सपायर हो गया है उनके लिए भी IFSC ने कहा है दैट वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग यू अ 3 months विंडो राइट नाउ. अभी आपको हम 3 महीने का विंडो दे देंगे एज अ ट्रांजिएंट ऑफर. ओके, नाउ आफ्टर दैट यहाँ पे और क्या कहा गया है? This includes open-ended schemes that begin investing with an initial corpus of 1 million but did not reach the required $3 million. देखो, आपने क्या किया, आपको जरूरत था कि आप पहले इतना पैसा कलेक्ट कर लो. Whom we are talking about? Open-ended schemes. Open-ended schemes क्या होती हैं? As an investor, you can come and invest and then you can go also, right? So entry and exit is easy. In the open-ended schemes, there are clear-cut guidelines for that. Okay, so यहाँ पे आपको कहा गया था as a fund management entity that you have to take at least $3 million. ठीक है, और मान लो आप इतना नहीं ले पाए because PPM has expired, so you have been also allowed this particular timeline of 3 months. ठीक है, further FMEs that are required to appoint an IFSC based custodian will get a 24 months migration window. जब IFSCA start हुआ था, IFSC start हुआ था Financial Services Center, so at that particular point of time बहुत सारी foreign entities were working there, because obviously the IFSC based entities were very few at that particular moment of time. And what we wanted, जब आप कुछ नया start करते हो ना, तो you want that everyone should come and take the experience, and after that you start imposing the conditions. Negative terms में नहीं, but in a positive way. So that is why fund management entities have been said कि अगर आप इंडिया में हो, आप IFSC की services ले रहे हो, which is based technically in India, so we are telling you for the ease of regulation purposes, please choose an IFSC based custodian. Custodian क्या होता है? Who ensures physical safety of your assets. Suppose अगर मैं bullions में trade कर रही हूँ, और if I have invested in bullions, so I have to keep those gold bars somewhere. कहीं तो रखना पड़ेगा ना, कौन ensure करेगा उसकी safety? So that's when custodian comes into the picture. So अभी तक ये क्या कर रहे थे, ये विदेशों के जो custodians थे उनके पास रख रहे थे, but अभी कहा गया, IFSC ने कहा that we are providing you a 24 months migration window. Migration window का मतलब क्या, आपको मैं समय दे रहा हूँ, आप 24 महीने के अंदर अंदर एक IFSC based custodian को choose कर लीजिए. So I hope these things I have already covered in the previous classes in detail, but I have again covered this. I hope you will remember. ठीक है, चलो let's move forward. RBI's new guidelines may slow expansion of urban cooperative banks. Now, what the intention over here is? See, urban cooperative bank में अगर if you remember the case of Punjab and Maharashtra cooperative bank, regulation as well as the internal governance issues were high. ठीक है, so RBI क्या कहता है that RBI divides the urban cooperative banks on the basis of deposit size. ठीक है, आपके पास कितना डिपॉजिट है, डू यू हैव 100 crores, डू यू हैव 1000 crore, और यू हैव मोर देन 10,000 crore, राइट? व्हाट इज द कस्टमर डिपॉजिट दैट यू आर हैविंग, कस्टमर का कितना पैसा आपके पास है. नाउ सपोज इफ यू हैव ज्यादा पैसा है आपके पास कस्टमर का, कल को आप भाग गए तो लेके, what we are going to do then? So that is why RBI says that depending on the deposit size that you have from the customer, we are going to tighten the regulation onto you. आपके ऊपर हम regulations को tight करेंगे. Regulations को tight कैसे किया जाता है? We ensure capital adequacy. So RBI says that whatever is the regulatory minimum, ठीक है, जो भी regulatory minimum है आप उससे 3% ज्यादा maintain करेंगे. If the regulatory minimum is 9% of your risk weighted assets, as a UCB you have to maintain more plus 3%. अभी किसके ऊपर applicable है? Suppose if you are having more than 1000 crores of customer deposit, ठीक है, आपके पास में 1000 करोड़ से ज्यादा कस्टमर का डिपॉजिट है. सो इन दैट केस ज्यादा कैपिटल मेंटेन करो ना, कल को अगर कुछ हो गया, सो हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू गिव बैक द मनी दैट कस्टमर होल्ड्स विद यू. ठीक है, सो इट्स अ फेयर इनफ थिंग. आरबीआई तो करेगा ही, बिकॉज कल को आप डूब गए तो पैसा कौन देगा, राइट? द पीपल विल नॉट बिलीव इन द इंडियाज फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस. ठीक है, सो बट द डाउन साइड ऑफ दिस इज, देखो जब टीचर ज्यादा डंडे मारते हैं तो क्लास में क्या होता है, अटेंडेंस कम हो जाती है. दैट इज व्हाट the practice usually is. So that is why over here, if you will see, if the RBI is going to regulate more, the number of UCBs that you will see over the time is going to decrease. That's what all this news item says. Let's see this. So Reserve Bank of India, there is a revised guideline on business authorization plans, ठीक है, UCBs that cross key deposit thresholds, as I have told you, 100 crores, 1000 crores and 10,000 crore. Now can you remember or link it? ठीक है, just wait for a second, let me see few comments. So both of you, Ronak and Ronit, we are going to start the classes from 7th onwards, right? Wednesday onwards. And finance is going to be conducted every day because we have got a huge syllabus. Okay, although marking mein to half hi hai, but syllabus is really huge. So that's what we are going to do. ठीक है, चलिए. So yes, 100 crores, 1000 crore and 10,000 crore. Now as soon as I mention these limits, you should also remember the NBFC's regulation. NBFC का regulation याद है आपको? Base layer, middle layer, upper layer, right? And then top layer. So that is also somewhere divided on the basis of deposit size. ठीक है, कहीं ना कहीं उसमें भी deposit size का एक role है. I'm not saying entirely, but it is there. So that's what RBI is doing. So further, a UCB with the tier 3 deposit, that means above 1000 crore, must maintain capital adequacy at least 3 points above than the regulatory requirement. ठीक है, RBI guideline has been adopted for UCBs. Tier 1 includes all UCBs and salary earner UCBs irrespective of deposit size, and the UCBs with the deposit size up to 100 crores. ये आपका tier 1 में. If it is going beyond 100 crores up to 1000 crore, that is tier 2. And tier 3 में आपका क्या आएगा? Deposit, the UCBs which are having deposits above 1000 crore and up to 10,000, they are in the tier 3. Now one more thing over here that I would like to explain to you. All these people who are new to our platform or might be new to the preparation, what is capital adequacy? Capital adequacy का मतलब क्या होता है? Capital adequacy का मतलब क्या होता है over here? See, just wait for a second. Whenever any kind of doubt comes, obviously the focus moves. Schedule for current affair classes, see one from 7th of January onwards. It will be 10:30 AM in the morning, right? So PIB and the current affair will run on alternate days. Fine. MWF would be your PIB and your TTS would be your current affair classes, finance current affairs. Is that fine? I hope that solves your doubt. Now let us see this regulation. So I was trying to explain you. क्या explain कर रही थी मैं? भूल गई. Anyway, let's see this. So I was talking about the capital adequacy. Capital adequacy means as a financial institution, you are having certain assets. Okay, we agree on that. Assets का मतलब क्या? These are the instruments that is going to give you the earning. ठीक है, इससे आपको पैसा मिलेगा. This is what we use the assets for, right? We generate revenue out of it. What can be your assets? Like investments that you have made, the loans that you have provided. Very simply, I am taking them into consideration. Now understand that what if you incur a loss in this? अगर आपको इसमें नुकसान हो गया, so from where you are going to bring the money? That's when capital comes into the picture. Capital का मतलब क्या होता है? Your own money that you must have invested in the business. ठीक है? So if you will incur any kind of loss, you will set off that particular loss by inserting your own money into the business. Is that fine? This is called as capital adequacy, that you should maintain a certain percentage of your own money in the business